started taking the chemotherapy drug straight away and I felt terrible. And I did that for 2 months. And it was actually on my birthday in November that I made the decision that I was going to stop taking it and not tell the doctors, because I'd already started to get in my head that I could heal myself from the way I was thinking. The belief and the feeling is actually the secret, because the partner that you choose, or if you haven't got a partner at the moment and you're looking for a partner, the characteristics of that person are so important because they impact your energy.
Welcome to Inspired by Success, the podcast where I deep dive into the mindset of successful entrepreneurs, CEOs, and thought leaders. Get ready to be inspired and gain valuable insights to unlock your true potential.
Transform your financial future with this episode sponsored by KE Financial Services.
What if I told you that your beliefs shape your reality, influencing the business and life you envision? Today, my guest defines the odds, showcasing the immense power of the mind. Facing a significant health challenge, he not only conquered it, but also built multiple thriving companies. His journey began in 2006 with the launch of a digital marketing agency, attracting big clients like Mercedes and Formula One. Yet, just as his business soared, an unexpected diagnosis threatened everything. What followed laid the groundwork for his current mission, empowering entrepreneurs to align their visions with reality. Our guest is Leigh Woolard, and I'm keen to uncover how his personal growth led to a purposeful life of giving. His story reaffirms that from breakdowns come our greatest breakthroughs. So without further delay, welcome to the show, Leigh.
Thank you, Linda. What a lovely introduction. Thank you. And hello to all your listeners.
Tell us about your story and how it shaped the man you are today.
Yeah, sure. So I originally was from Australia, moved to the UK in 99 and decided to do my university over here in the UK. Spent 6 years on an evening doing that because I had a young child as well. And straight out of university, built a business. In my final year of uni, they encouraged me to do it. I went for it. So I spent the next 16 years growing a digital agency. We got to work with some fantastic clients, including, as you mentioned, the Mercedes Formula One team. I helped them grow their audience to over 10 million on Facebook. Instagram was just taking off then, 2016, when we did that. And then I worked for 9 years with Silver Cross, the pram company. When we joined them, they'd just been bought for £1, and then they ended up selling for 53 million. So we had a fantastic relationship helping them with their business, which all sounds great. But there was an underlying element of feeling unfulfilled in what I was doing. And that doesn't mean I wasn't grateful. I worked with some amazing people, made some great relationships, but there was just something inside of me that wasn't quite balanced, wasn't quite right. And then on the 1st of August 2019, which was actually the morning of my twin boy's birthday, I was given the diagnosis that I had bone cancer. Now, initially, I had to go home and break it to my wife, and we had about 15 kids coming over to celebrate their birthday. So we put that to the side, and I said, come on, let's make sure they have a good day, and whatever's ahead of us, I'll figure this out. So within a short space of time, I started to go on a bit of a personal discovery. And I had a Facebook advert that was put in front of me from a wise old gentleman that said, your way's not working, why don't you try mine? And I thought, well, he's absolutely right in what he's saying. So naturally, I dived in to see what it was about. And it was a lot of talk about the subconscious mind and how your thoughts create your feelings create your actions, and your actions create the results. And at first, a little bit of skepticism, thought maybe a bit woo-hooey, but I was at that point where I had to make a decision. I had to make a change. So he became my mentor. His name was Bob Proctor. He helped people for over 60 years transform their lives. He was my mentor for 18 months. He passed away early last year at the age of 89 and was still coaching people up to the week before he went. He knew he was going, but he still fulfilled his life right out to the end. So he was a great inspiration and a great learning for me. So the diagnosis of bone cancer, I was doing chemotherapy, was taking a drug, and I felt terrible. And then once I started to understand what the power of my thoughts were doing, I just started shifting that. What was I thinking? And I wasn't a particularly negative person or anything like that. I thought I was grateful for what I had and what I did, but there was some stuff that I was holding on to inside of me. Um, so yeah, I went on a discovery then, started to change the way that I thought and the way that I felt. And within 6 months, I'd overcome bone cancer. And that was the point where the light bulb went on for me to go, what is this actually doing now? How can this impact my relationships, both with my wife and my children and the people around me? And if I apply the same thing to business, does it work? And that
Wait,
was the
wait, wait.
journey that I went on for the past 3.5.
Wow, sorry to cut
Absolutely.
you. So you healed yourself from subconscious thoughts, did you say? Like, was the chemo a contribution to that, or like explain how that happened?
I did it. Yeah. So I started taking the chemotherapy drug straight away and I felt terrible. And I did
Mm.
that for 2 months. And it was actually on my birthday in November that I made the decision that I was going to stop taking it and not tell the doctors, because I'd already started to get in my head that I could heal myself from the way I was thinking. And I didn't want to announce it to people because, there's lots of people that have a strong belief that you need medical support. And the day after, my wife I said to her, I don't feel good, Dad. She said, you don't enjoy this, do you? I said, no. She goes, why don't you stop? I said, I have. And she said, I knew you would. She said, however, if things get worse, you have to go back. I was having blood tests at the time every 3 months. So for 3 months, I hadn't had a blood test. I just focused every day on thinking about how I would like my health to be. And the goal and the vision that I had was playing football with my kids. So I was in the back garden one day and I just couldn't go anymore. And my kids were like, come on, Dad, come on, Dad. And are you giving up? And you know that Aussie mentality, we don't like to give up. And I didn't want them to see me give up, but I physically couldn't go. So my vision was to be there, to play football with my kids and to enjoy the time with my wife. And I just kept rerunning that every day for 3 months. And I could feel myself getting better. 3 months later, I went to the doctors. I had a blood test and they said, things are looking really good. The treatment's working. Now, I didn't tell them at the time, but I wasn't taking the drug. We go forward another 3 months. I go and have a blood test. And at this point, I'm feeling amazing. And the doctor says to me, Leigh, unbelievable. Whatever you're doing, fantastic. The drugs really helped. You're in remission. And I said, I've got something to tell you. I haven't actually been taking the drug. You don't know what you're doing. You could, this could cost you your life. And I said, yeah, but the result is I'm in remission. So we had a few little challenges between us. And look, I'm very grateful for what the doctors and the hospital did do for me in the time that I required it. But I also wanted to go on this journey to see. I thought that I was causing it. It was something that I was doing was causing the disease. And naturally, then when I had a mentor and I learned, and he said to me, Leigh, your thoughts are the reason why you are creating this. Your body's a manifestation of what you're thinking. And I was like, wow. So if my body's the same and my relationships were good, I'm very, very close to all my boys. I'm very close to my wife, but it could have been better. My business at the time was a good business, but I was pretty stressed. And I was like, right, I don't want to act like this. I don't want to have stress. I don't want to have financial worry. What do I need to do? So I started to change the way I thought. And my relationship started to thrive more. My kids and I have always been close, but they really started to grow. And then, strange how the universe does these things, an opportunity came up to coach my boys' football team, soccer, as most countries call it, but football over here. And I ummed and ahed whether I was going to do it. And then I took that opportunity, and it's one of the best things I've ever done. It's brought me and my boys closer. I now have 20 other surrogate sons, and I've applied some of the principles of that way of thinking with the kids. Now, that's not me doing mentoring sessions with them, just subliminally. One of the biggest shifts I did with them was you've got to make mistakes. We've allowed them to make mistakes. They've gone from a team that didn't win a lot to a team last season that only lost one game, and we didn't really change anything else. We didn't work on anything, strategically. We just gave them the belief. So in their head, they were able to accept that they could make mistakes, and then what would we love? Now, they set the goal at the start of the season, which was we'd really love to get promoted to the next league. And truthfully, inside of me, I didn't believe they could, because they're not the most skillful bunch. But boy, did they prove that what you think can, because they are really, really good at working together as a team, and their spirit as a bunch of boys is amazing. So I started to see this pattern of things unfolding in my life. So then I started to apply it in business to my business customers as well, and their life started to change. And they were like, Leigh, you've got to help more people with this. So that was my journey to where we are today. I love helping people who really want to change, not just their business results, but they go, wow, if I could apply this in my relationships, what does it do? And that's the bit when you see in particular business owners or people who've had challenging relationships apply it to their current relationship, and all of a sudden they light up, because actually that's as important, if not more important, than what you're doing in your work.
That's beautiful. Take us back though, because like I believe in quantum physics and I read Dr. Joe Dispenza books and power of visualization and how it can heal your body as well, because he's done seminars about it, and the power of thought alone is quite powerful. Take me back on the steps that you used to heal yourself, especially into remission, because I'm guessing there's a lot of, haven't experienced cancer, but I'm guessing there's a lot of pain.
Yep.
So the thought process, what was the thought process there, and how did you heal yourself from pain during the time, and what other steps did you use to, because was it more than just thoughts? Was it visualization? Was it meditation? There's got to be more to it. So take us step by step on
Absolutely.
how you did that.
Yeah, absolutely. So first, just with the pain part, I had excruciating pain at times through the backs of my shoulders and through my chest. It was like a 100-pound weight just weighing down on me at times and pushing in here. So at 4 o'clock in the morning, I'd be going out for a walk around the field and moving my body around just to relieve some of the pain. And although it seems like a dark, deep moment, I was there at the time, breathing and going, okay, what do you really want? What's this sign? What's this a signal from? So once I'd got the mentor, his recommendation was, right, you need to be doing meditation every morning. Now, again, for me, I came from an Australian background, Aussie man, we're stronger than this. I had to go, right, I'm in. And I thought, am I going to have to turn into a monk? Am I going to be sat? And you don't. Okay. I would sit for 15 to 20 minutes every morning, and it was religious. The minute that I woke up, straight into the lounge room where I knew that I would not be interrupted. And I would start off by doing some deep breathing, just gentle, nothing ridiculous. And then I would picture myself. So the meditation would calm me down and the breathing, but then I would do the visualization of what did I really want. And my visualization was spending time playing football with my boys and walking down the beach with my wife, talking about life and where we wanted to go and the adventures we wanted to go on. And at that point in time, neither of those were really happening. So I had to create a story and a vision that was not happening and live in it. So over the next, and at first it didn't feel it. After I'd done the visualization, I'd then write down 10 things I'm grateful for. And again, I look back at that journal and the 10 things I wrote down in there at that time were not showing up in my life. But that's what I wanted. And I was in the process and I did it every single day. 3 months later, things began to shift. I could feel my health was shifting. I felt more expansive. I was back playing football with my kids again. We'd gone on a holiday to the south of England to the beach, and I was walking down the beach with my wife talking about life and what we were doing. And all of a sudden I started to go, wow, these things are happening in my reality. And then, like I mentioned before, the opportunity came to coach my kids, and I was like, this is all a bit crazy. But it was things that I'd written down.
Wow, that's pretty powerful. It's like manifestation as well, but you got to believe in it as well. And apparently, in the books that I read with Dr. Joe Dispenza, he talks about and even The Secret, the book, The Secret, Rhonda Bynes, she talks about believing in it as well. So that's fascinating.
The belief and the feeling is actually the secret. So if you can listen to Dr. Joe Dispenza, listen to Rhonda Byrne, The Power of the Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy, that's the book that I gift to everybody, because it was the one that was very simple for me to read and go, okay. Now it's got elements of money in it. It's got elements of relationships. It's got elements of wealth. But the underlying message with all of them is the same.
What's
Your
that book? The
thoughts
Power of the
create
Subconscious.
feelings. Your feelings create actions. And your action.
What was that
Power of
book
the
again?
Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy.
Okay, no worries. I'm
Yeah,
going to
The
take
Power of
note
the
of that.
Subconscious Mind, Joseph Murphy.
So,
Yeah,
like,
fantastic book.
awesome. I'll definitely have a read of that. What are you mentioned also with business as well, how you applied that with businesses? Because, I'm fascinated about business. The podcast is all about business as well. And the people that you coach, tell us about what separates those that plateau from those that succeed in business, especially, given the mindset that you need. Like, what do you see and how do you shift the mind? Like you mentioned before we spoke, like about successful businesses, how it turned them around and the clients that you grew.
Yep.
How can you apply this in business, what you've learned yourself?
What I might just get you to do is just go back, because your internet went out pretty much for all of what you just asked then.
Oh, okay, yeah. Okay. Riverside, it does that.
I kind of got the gist of it, but it wasn't very clear.
Cool. So you mentioned about the business that you helped grow, right? And how it became successful. Can you give us some tactics and steps on how other businesses can grow as well from what you've learned?
Yeah, absolutely. So COVID came, and I had an agency at the time that was helping brands. COVID came and pretty much put a bit of a halt on that. Some of the businesses kept going, others didn't, but it actually gave me a bit of space to go, right, this is a stepping stone for you to do what you'd love. So I got to apply the principles of what I teach people in my own business first. So I created a vision. What would I have loved my business to look like? So I wanted to have a coaching business, and I wanted to be able to coach people who made an impact in the world. And the first 3 months, I didn't get any customers, but I stuck at it. I had this vision. And then all of a sudden, people started to come and be attracted to what I was doing. Then they would tell other people. And before I knew it, within 6 months, this business had really shot off. And I was helping people who had online coaching programs reach more people and change their lives. Now, some people did come into that business that were purely just for money, but it was a learning step for me to go, actually, they're not my people. I'm after these people that can help. So one of the great case studies I have is a guy who helps families with children with fetal alcohol spectrum disorder. And he'd been growing his business for 10 years, needed a platform where he could reach more people. We took him on a journey through creating a vision for what he would love, using Facebook ads to reach more people, and he took off. And now every year he'll help 200, 250 families, mostly in America and Canada, but there are some in Australia, some in the UK, some in Europe that he helps. So that example was the first one where I went, okay, we can really start applying this with others. So his case study gave me the platform to share with others and say, okay, at the moment you're not getting the results that you would love. Let's do this exercise. And what it starts to do is condition them to start thinking, okay, this is what I would love. And then they're able to take the action steps towards that, rather than, I'm so stressed at the moment, I've got all of these tasks to do. Am I going to have enough money this month? I've got overheads to pay, bills to pay. And what happens is it just creates more and more. And that's why I've seen the pattern now. In all the groups I'm in all the people that I teach, it's exactly the same pattern, no matter whether you're making $50,000 or pounds in your business or whether you're making 10 million. They have the exact same patterns. If you can get them thinking about a vision, and it's the same for me, and I've got a new vision for this year of what I want to do. Okay, there's been Mel Robbins, Alex Hormozy, Stephen Bartlett, Richard Branson. Richard Branson yesterday posted about his vision for this year. He's going to spend more time on his health. And when you start seeing the pattern of these people doing it, you go, okay, we can apply it. They're no different to us. And like I said to you, whether they were earning 50,000, 500,000 or 5 million, it doesn't matter. It's the same thing. When you have a clear vision of what you want, what that does then is start you thinking, feeling, actions. You're taking the actions in alignment with that vision, and then the result changes. If you think about the story I shared with my health, that's what it was. You put that into your relationships, changes your relationship results. You put that into your business and it changes.
So when you talk about doing a vision, can you tell us give some tips on what entrepreneurs can do in terms of, first of all, their mindset shifts as well?
One of the most important things you need to do is just take an inventory on the past 12 months. And although that sounds like overwhelming, you only need to put a few things. So what were some of the things that you did well? Start with that, because it creates a good energy. Okay, I did this well. And if you get stuck there, that's a sign, it's a signal that you're not paying enough attention to the things you do well. So make it a habit, daily habit, where you're paying attention to the things you do well. One of the exercises I get people to do is put down 10 things on your phone. You can call it a happiness checklist. You can call it a success checklist, whatever. Put down 10 things you're proud of in the last 12 months. And if you struggle to get to 10, spend the next week getting to that 10. What that does then is you start looking at that every day and you start going, hey, actually, I'm doing some good things. Now, if you have children, we all go and praise our children for all of the good things they do, but we don't praise ourselves. And again, I see this in business. Everybody's striving for the next thing. They forget to take an inventory of what they're doing well. Then you take an inventory of some of the things that didn't work. Okay, so you know not to do them. You take an inventory of the things that you don't love to do. Okay, can you outsource them? What are the things you do love to do? Anchor in and do some more of those, and then find somebody else to do the things you don't love. And then you just build momentum. And don't try and have it solved within a month. Spend 3 months, 6 months, 12 months, whatever it is, because 12 months from now, you'll be in such a strong position that you will be able to start either hiring or getting some people to help you. Then what happens is all of a sudden you start to go, okay, what would I love in the person that's going to take on this role? And again, this is what I see with the businesses I work with now that are at that next level. They're starting now to employ people based on attitude and behavior rather than skill. And then what they're doing is they're growing great teams, and then all of a sudden their business is thriving, and they're like, hey, I'm actually enjoying this business now. It used to be an anchor and I couldn't get out of it, and I couldn't get a job with someone else, but then I'm not spending enough time with my kids. When I first set up in business in 2006, I used to serve in the restaurant I worked with just before I set my business up, the owner of a supermarket chain over here in the UK, very, very successful businessman. And I asked him a question. He said to me, what are you doing? I said, I'm going to set up a business. I said, can I ask you a question? I said, yeah. So what's one bit of advice you can give to someone going into business? And he looked me in the eye and he went, spend as much time with your family, lad, because I never did. And it cut me at the time. And I thought, right. Then I started to ask that same question all the time. And 9 out of 10 business owners would say the same thing. So if they're all saying it, why not listen? And it's challenging sometimes. But again, it's been one of the most rewarding things, me doing that, because I have a great relationship with my kids. My eldest son right now, he's running his own business. He's 23. He's going through the challenges, but he comes back and asks me questions. And if I can help him or support him, I help him. Otherwise, I let him go.
Beautiful. So what separates, like from what you've seen, what separates those businesses that succeed versus those that fail? Like, why do you think a lot of businesses fail?
I think a lot of businesses fail because we get stuck and then we get focused on the things that aren't working and the lack and limitation. I'll give you another example. One of the guys I'm working with, he has 2 businesses. He was told, because the facts, he was told by his finance guys, this is was $1 million business, and it started to go the opposite way and was making a loss. He had some financial people come in and say, you need to close this business. It's a bleed on you. I was coaching him and I said to him, what would you love? And he said, that's my baby. That was the business that I started. That was my baby. I said, what would you love then? And he got a clear vision of what he would love. Within 3 months, he turned that business around. That business now does multiple millions in the last 12 months. He's now building a team that's taking all of the tasks that he doesn't love. His second business now, he's applying the same strategy to. That's even bigger, but he still is holding on to another business that he was told because of the facts to close it down. And I think that's what happens a lot of time in business. People go, oh, I'm not making any money, it's a loss. And they leave because they don't have the skills to go, actually, what would I love? Okay, what actions can I take that are in alignment with what I would love? Okay, now I can start to see the results happening. And it doesn't matter what level you're at. It's the exact same pattern.
What industry was that, if you don't mind me asking?
Yeah, he's in the east coast of the US, in the like timber industry. So he will sell big industrial sawmills. His other business on the side was a forestry business, but does it on big scale for like governments and people who own islands and stuff like that. So that was one example with him. And then I gave you the other example before with the guy who helps families. And again, they're both great people, but it's amazing to watch someone who can go and help 200 families. That's fulfilling.
So how do you guide entrepreneurs in turning their vision into actionable steps as well, and turning things around? Like, what's the first things? Like, there must be a few things that you look at as well, because
Great question.
different perspective from an outside view. I can sometimes see, like when I see other founders as well, I can see the non-value things that they can do versus the high value tasks that
That's
are going to drive
brilliant question, because a lot of the times when we go to people for help, they tell us what to do. I don't actually tell you what to do. We sit down, we do an exercise, which is called vision-driven decisions, where we just write down whatever comes to mind. So I'll give you an example of a different company we did this with. The owner, this is a third generation business, very, very successful. I think they're at about 7.5 million at the moment in revenue, several locations. We did this exercise with the owner and his right-hand man, and the first 25 things they wrote down were all operational. So what was happening was the business was taking on that identity and just doing things all the time and not focusing on revenue generation strategies. When we were able to observe that and he could see it after we'd done it, he went, whoa, I'm too much steering this ship at the moment and not allowing this part of the business to happen. So they've spent the last 6 months just purely focusing on that side. He's still doing his operations part, but there's a real focus and energy in the business. Now, all of a sudden, his team feels more inspired, especially his sales team. They've grown from 6 to 12 in 6 months. They're taking it internationally into Spain, and then they're going into America in the next 3 or 4 months. He's repeating the pattern, but what he's doing now is going in with an intention of, actually, this is the area that we needed. And it seems very simple. We needed more sales. But if you don't stop and actually look at what's going on, you can't see it. And sometimes when you're in it yourself, you can't see it. So, okay, what would you love? Well, we'd love to grow our business. We'd love to grow more customers. Okay, how are we going to do that? Most business owners have all the information. That just because their head's so full, they don't get it down, so they can't see it. That's the key step. So that was a great question you asked, because, again, most of the time, you need to run more Facebook ads. Oh, you need to put more money into marketing. Oh, you need to run radio ads. It's not necessarily the way.
You can burn your money like that too.
And often that's what happens. And then you go, wow, none of this is working. Everything I try isn't. And actually, you know the answers. It's your business. I'm just there to help guide you and go, okay, this is what we can see. This is what works. This is what you love. Let's do more of that. Let's hand off the task to the others. Okay, here's an opportunity here that you're not exploring because your conditioning is saying, I want to run the operations. But the reality is, if you don't have the sales coming in and the revenue, you can't grow to that next level.
Totally agree. So what daily habits or routines are crucial for focus and drive and mental well-being, especially for an entrepreneur?
Yeah, I'm a big believer that you need to take at least 15 minutes twice a day to yourself. Now, I do it 3 times a day. And at first, this was a really challenging habit to get into, because I was always like, once 9 o'clock came, I'm on that hamster wheel and I'm working as hard as I can till the end of the day. So doing it first thing in the morning when I wake up becomes a habit. It's even before I brush my teeth. I'm doing some breath work and just calming my nervous system down. What I noticed over time was it gave me the ability to be able to have a clear mind, to be able to make better decisions without making them from a place of stress and overwhelm. Then when I started to bring it in at lunchtime, it would reset me for the day. And I found that I was more creative. I would make better decisions. And things just seem to be happening in a much, and you know that feeling when you're in flow, when things are going well and you're in flow, it's like every decision you make works, or most decisions. Or if they don't work, you go, oh, there's the learning lesson. Whereas when you're stressed, you miss the learning lessons and you keep doing more of them. I
So what
like
are
to
the
do it
type
at a
of
night time before I go to,
I'll go, sorry.
I was going to say, I like to do it at night time before I go to bed. And this was something that I read once. We spend 7 to 8 hours asleep. What you put into your mind, that goes into your subconscious mind right before you go to sleep. So if I'm going to spend 8 hours asleep not controlling what I'm thinking, this is a gateway for me to be able to put some thoughts in about what would I love my business to look like? What would I love my relationships to look like? What would I love my health to look like? It takes 15 minutes. And that, again, just changed the way my health was. People started making, Godly, you're looking amazing. You look so well. What's changed? Oh, I've seen some of the stuff you're putting online. It's inspiring. Thank you. And I was like, wow, this is all, the person from 2019 didn't have any of this.
Very fascinating. As an entrepreneur, we often have stressful moments as well. Like everybody has stressful moments, even employees, every day-to-day people. What are some of the thoughts and mindset shifts we can implement to help when we have these challenging, stressful times? Do you have certain processes or thoughts whenever there's a
Absolutely.
challenging
Yeah.
situation that comes? Because, we either embrace it or like we get really frustrated and it affects us, especially stress can affect our health and affect us and become sick as well. But have you got any tips for what we should say to ourselves or the mindset shifts that we can use whenever we're in a stressful situation?
Yep. The minute that you feel frustration, anger, worry, fear, anything like that, just pause for a second. Pause. Often, if it's a lot, take 3 breaths. Just, and what that does is just calms your nervous system. Now, again, some people go, oh, that's woo-hooey, do it and see what happens. Because if you make a decision from a place of fear, stress, worry, or whatever, generally it's not the right one. That little pause just before it, what it does is it gives you some space to go, okay, there's a challenge here right now. And the first question I ask myself, who do I want to be in this? Who do I want to show up as? Do I want to react? We all react sometimes to our kids. They press your button. It's the end of the day. You're tired or whatever. Okay, but do you want to be that person that does it every day? No, I don't. So just pause. And my kids, like I said, they've challenged us this week. It's holidays and they're all over the place and they're teenage boys and they're gaming with their friends and okay, who do I want to be? Pause. Right. I want to be a good dad. I want to ask them an empowering question that gets them to think, actually, that wasn't the right thing. Not always easy. Am I perfect at it? No, but I'm a hell of a lot better than I used to be. Same in a business situation. When a stress comes up or there's financial worry, just pause for a minute. Okay, there's a lesson that I need to learn here and I haven't learned it. The biggest one I see is money. Most people come and they say, I just get to the end of the month and money's a challenge, data. Okay, what's the lesson that you need to learn here? As you step into this, okay, this is what it looks like while I'm trying to master money. Okay, and when I say master it, I don't mean I'm going to have it solved by the end of this month. What actions do I need to take that are going to improve? So if you're someone who's taken on a lot of debt, you've got a habit. You take on a lot of debt. And that debt keeps accumulating and growing because that's your habit. Again, I've helped business owners who've done this that have gone into millions of dollars worth of debt. Okay, let's change the habit. And you start small and you start making payments. And what that does is make you concentrate and your subconscious mind starts going, hey, this feels good when I do this. Actually, now I want to earn my own money. Okay, that means I've got to talk to people. Oh, I feel a bit uncomfortable. Okay, step into it and see what happens. Do you know what? I felt amazing the other day. I made a call. I've got a new customer and we're perfect alignment and I feel great. Okay, let's keep replicating that. Because as you keep doing those things, all of a sudden you've got some financial freedom. Then, because you've gone through the mistakes, you know, okay, let's not just go out and spend it all. Let's be smart about what we do and enjoy it. And again, that's what you're trying to, if you do that over 2 to 3 years, you're off and away. Some people don't have the patience for that. They want that instant gratification. They want to buy the fancy car so that people can look at them. Leave that. Come back to it in 2 or 3 years' time. lowers the stress in your life. It makes being in business more enjoyable. And then all of a sudden, your relationships are better, your health's better because you're focused on those things.
Wow, that's powerful. So if you could instill one belief in entrepreneurs, what would it be?
The one that I always go back to is you're bigger and more powerful than any situation, circumstance, or challenge that you're in. So the moment that you're up against anything, pause, dive into finding out what the learning lesson is. Okay, it's there for a reason. You need it. When I started to pay attention to this, all of a sudden, any problem or challenge that came to me made me go, great, learning opportunity. I remember somebody on stage in America in 2018 saying, every time I get a challenge now, I was thinking, wow, he's so different to me. I get a challenge and I want to go hide. I don't want to show anybody. I made a mistake. I failed. Now I look at it and go, okay, there's a learning opportunity. And actually, it's the most exciting part of my day, as opposed to, oh, everything's going great and I'm projecting that everything's okay. And it's not.
Got to embrace those challenges. Let's talk about relationships, because we were talking a bit about relationships before we started as well. And we know you mentioned that it's crucial to have a great relationship to help you become successful in business as well. And I asked, is that personal relationships with your partner or is that like professional? And you said both. So can you elaborate? Let's talk about relationships and how we can have better relationships as well. So
yeah. I believe it's the key part to the happiness that you have in your life, because the partner that you choose, or if you haven't got a partner at the moment and you're looking for a partner, the characteristics of that person are so important because they impact your energy. If you go home to somebody who's negative all the time, it'll drag you down. If you go home to somebody who's positive and happy with life, and I'm not talking about all the time, what I'm talking about is, okay, you've got a challenge, let's embrace it together. But again, create a vision for the type of relationship you would love. Sit with your partner and create one together. Okay. And at first, you're not going to be an expert at it. But what you start to do is go, okay, I would like my relationship to look like this. I would like us to do this together. I would like us to support each other when we're chasing our dreams or goals. I would like us to show up as parents. And then what happens is you create an environment at home that when you've finished work and it's been stressful and you've dealt with challenges all day, you go home and go, okay, this is my safe zone now. This is where I've created an atmosphere that makes me feel good, and actually makes the atmosphere of all of them. And actually, again, this is one of the best gifts you can give your children, because all of a sudden you're creating an environment where they're not copying the same patterns that you may have been doing. All of a sudden now you're actually consciously aware of, what am I doing to help these kids? And then the same for business.
Yeah.
Go on.
Okay, so like with the relationship part, to have a long-lasting relationship that's successful, I'm guessing, there's definitely a lot of communication. Energy, I totally agree on that too, because, partners, you hear about, people coming home stressed and then taking it out on their partner as well. So what other things that can contribute to the growth of the relationship besides great energy, communication, and aligning the same vision and goals? Is there anything else to help create?
One of the tips that I can give you, or I have an alert that goes off on my phone at 5:30 every afternoon, and it says, show up as a loving and present husband and father. And the reason it goes off at 5:30 is that's usually about the time I'm thinking of going home, or I go home. And the objective for me is, as I pull up into the driveway, I take 3 breaths, calm my nervous system from the day of dealing with the challenges, and go, right, leave all of that behind now. Who do you want to be when you step in through that door? And the routine's always the same now. The dog comes running first. And the energy that I give to the dog, so she loves it. Same energy to my family. Okay, I don't ruffle their hair up and stuff like that, but same energy. And they pick up on it. So your kids don't come down and go, all right, Dad, how's your day? Yeah. Hi, Dad, how was your day? This is what happened in my day today. And you're creating that energy in the household. You don't have to say to your kids, this is what I'm doing. You just do it and be the example. And then that happens. Naturally, then for your partner starts to go, I like this change, or I like this shift. It's become a habit for me now. It still goes off on my phone because it was one of the first alerts that I ever put on. And I still see it sometimes, and I smile because it is my habit. And actually, even if I go home during the school holidays, during the day, I still pause before I go in, leave behind what's gone, step into the relationship like how I want to be.
Very, very definitely useful advice that everyone can apply. Finally, what message would you want our listeners to take away from your story and your work?
I think it goes back to the reality is we all have challenges and circumstances that we're faced with. Who do you want to show up in those circumstances? So have a think about those people you know that can handle a situation with a calmness and a poise. Okay. How do you become that person? First, it starts with you visualizing it. That's how I want to be. Then you start to feel it. How does it feel when you're not reactive, but you respond in a business situation? I talk about this with when you go to the checkout, when you speak to a telephone salesperson. What if that mum on the phone, it's the only job she can do in the hours that she's got, and then you come on and you're the 100th person she's had to deal with today that are not very nice to her? She's then got to go home and then be a mum to her kids. You don't know everybody's story in the background, so who do you want to be? Yeah, you can still handle that conversation with grace and poise. It may not be for you, but actually, thank you very much for making the call. I hope it's well. Yeah. See if you can get them to comment. Say, God, you're the first person who's spoken nicely to me today. That little example I'm giving you there is try and apply that in every situation. When the postman comes past, when the lady walking her dog down the street that you've never spoken to before, the checkout person. If you apply that in all areas of your life, it's called being a person of increase. What you're doing there is you're putting out a different energy that's not only just good for the other person, it's good for you.
That's very beautiful. I like that. Thank you so much for your time. Where can people find you and follow you?
Yeah, best places are Instagram, follow at Leigh Woolard, LEIGH WOOLARD, or just go to the website. I've got some free resources on my website. You can do a personal inventory. I do hold vision workshops. They're free. Come along. Doesn't matter where you are in your life. If you're wanting to make a change, I'd love to have you on. We have people from Australia. We have people from America, Canada, UK. So wherever you are, you can still make them. And if not, just reach out. I'm always happy to try and help someone.
Thank you. Thank you so much for your time, Leigh. It was really inspiring, and all the best with your coaching and your career ahead of you. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Linda. Thank you for having me on. Really appreciate it. I hope your listeners have got something from it today, and I wish you all well. Have a fantastic year, and all the best to you all.
Thank you.